Today, I am going to be diving into the 5 books that, as a therapist, as a mental health therapist who's been doing this work for almost 10 years, that I believe every single person has to read if they want to understand themselves, their mind, and the world a little bit better. Not everyone, unfortunately, has access to mental health care. Not everyone has access to treatment. And unfortunately, not a lot of people have had access to good mentors in their life or good guidance or just good people, to be honest. And a lot of people have suffered significantly because of it. And these books have honestly changed my life. And I've recommended these to almost every single one of my clients. I've recommended at least one of these books to every single one of my clients and to people in the Evolve community and in many of the other platforms that I frequent and that I'm on, because these books are absolutely incredible. And for a lot of people who don't have access to care, books and YouTube videos like this and podcasts like the Evolve Ventures podcast that I host or co-host, this is access that people can get. This is ways that, and these are ways that people can get the guidance and the love and the help that they significantly, that all of us need so desperately. So I'm going to dive into 5 of these books, who is the author, the major takeaway of the book, and why I believe that this is my top 5. Now, I got to be honest, it took me a while to figure out which books I wanted to choose because honestly, I don't just recommend these 5. I think there's so many that are so valuable and so credible and so just amazing that I think everybody needs to read. But unfortunately, the grand majority of people are not going to read 20 plus books that I recommend. Most likely, most people aren't even going to read these 5. It's the reality of the world. I think I saw a stat that, like, don't quote me on this. I think this might be wrong. I hope it's not. But it's something like less than 10% of people ever pick up a book after high school or college. It was some insane number like that. And it broke my heart because there's so much to learn, but so few people ever actually do. So I kept it to 5. And these are my top 5. If you never read another thing, if you never go to therapy, if you never do other inner work other than read these books, these are the 5 that will significantly change your life. So let's dive in. I'm still learning how to do video editing and whatnot. I'm going to see if I can put a photo of the book up here on the screen. It'll be one of these 2 sides. So bear with me. We're in the process of getting paired with an editing team for these YouTube videos, but for now, it's just me learning how to do it, and I'm a therapist, not a video editor, so we do the best that we can. So I'm going to try to put the book here, one of these 2 corners. I don't know yet, wherever it fits better, because I don't have a hard copy of them. I either read my books on my computer. So like I'll buy it and download it, and it either shows on my computer or on my iPad downstairs, or I'll audio listen to books. So I don't have hard copies, but I will have the photo of the book pop up on the screen, one of these 2 places. And if I can't, I apologize. I will put the links down below in the video description. All right, now I'm done ranting. Number 1, Man's Search for Meaning, and the author is Viktor Frankl. The major takeaway of the book, it kind of follows like Buddhist philosophy a little bit, that life is suffering. There's inevitably going to be terrible, horrible things that happen, but the ultimate purpose of life is to find the meaning throughout suffering. And what the book talks about and what the book follows is Viktor Frankl was actually in the Nazi death camps in the 1920s, and he was a psychiatrist, and he was writing a book while he was in there. He was actually writing this book while he was in there, keeping a record of who ended up surviving. So like if they weren't killed by the Nazi soldiers, who survived and who didn't. And what he ended up finding through his like research while he was in the death camps is that the people who ended up surviving, they weren't fixated on this hope or this idea that, oh, by Christmas we're going to get out, by Easter we're going to get out, by whatever the next big celebration holiday is, we're going to get out. Those people actually, like the optimists, were actually the ones who died of broken hearts, because the time came, they didn't get out, and then they died of a broken heart. They gave up. The people who survived, the people who made it, were the ones who made a sense of meaning out of their suffering. And they're the ones who, even after they left, they created an empowering meaning for their life and for what happened to them. And they utilized their suffering to create something significant for them in the aftermath. And what he dives into in the book is how to do it. So after he got out of the death camps, he went on to work as a psychiatrist, and he created this therapy called logotherapy. It is absolutely phenomenal. I use it in my own therapy, and cognitive behavioral therapy uses it in essence when it dives into things like Socratic questioning and cognitive restructuring, which is basically, what are you thinking? And how do you transform that thinking into something more empowering, more meaningful, more substantial, of more substance? So this book, why you should read it, because we all suffer. We all have horrible tragedies that we are going to face in this life. It just is what it is. Life is suffering. Life is hard. Life is pain. Life is tragedy. But we get to decide what that means. We get to decide the purpose and the function of that tragedy. I don't believe everything happens for a reason. You can't be in the field that I'm in and hear the horrific stories that I hear, or read a book like this and believe that everything happens for a reason. It doesn't. But we get to give everything a reason. We get to make meaning out of our life and out of our suffering. And that is the most empowering thing you could ever do. And it is the most beautiful gift you could ever give to yourself, is the ability to recreate meaning and building your life around meaning. So, book number 1, Man's Search for Meaning by Viktor Frankl. Number 2, this goes hand in hand with book number 1. So I'm going to do a 2-for-1. This is 2 books, but it's the same author. Feeling Good is book number 1, and Feeling Great is book number 2. So it's kind of like it's a book and then it's the book's sequel. The author is Martin Seligman. He is the founder of positive psychology. Now, he says himself, positive psychology is not about being positive. Positive psychology is, in very similar ways to the book Man's Search for Meaning, it's creating meaning and substance out of the terrible things that happen to you and doing what you can to make positivity into your life, a life based on growth and fulfillment. And he actually is a cognitive behavioral therapist. So he uses a lot of CBT techniques in his books. The books are actually basically like a CBT for non-professionals. So what the book does is it dives into basically everything that you need to know about cognitive behavioral therapy, how to change your mind, how to understand your thoughts, how to navigate depression and anxiety and PTSD and all of these terrible experiences that so many of us go through. He basically lays out, what are cognitive distortions? Because we all have them. What are negative automatic thoughts? What are core beliefs? What are all of these crucial, vital aspects of the way that our brain works and how we perceive the world and make meaning out of it. So Viktor Frankl's book is How Do You Create Meaning? Martin Seligman's book is what are the processes that we can use to actually do that? How do you actually make meaning? How do you interpret the situations that you're in? And how do you help yourself to do it in a more empowering way? How do you help yourself feel good and feel great? Because it doesn't happen automatically. It happens through intentional, conscientious actions and effort. It's the inputs that you put in that will get you the output. And that is why you need to read this book. It is a literal tutorial, a step-by-step process that you can start to use to help yourself understand your mind in such a deeper way. Why do you see things the way that you do? Why do you make meaning of circumstances the way that you do? Why does life feel the way that it does? And how do you navigate it? What do you do to make it more empowering? What do you do to set yourself up for success? What do you do to give your life a greater sense of fulfillment? Not happiness, fulfillment, because fulfillment is deeper and lasts longer. So, book number 1, Man's Search for Meaning. Book number 2, and technically 3, but I'm going to count it as one book, Feeling Good and Feeling Great by Martin Seligman. Book number 3, Cognitive Therapy and the Emotional Disorders. Now, this book is by Aaron Beck, who is the founder of cognitive behavioral therapy. And this book blew my mind when I read it, because it's basically an entire book helping us understand what our emotions are, what the function of those emotions are, and then how do you help yourself navigate those emotions in more intelligent ways based on you having a deeper understanding of them. Most of us are absolutely terrified of our emotions. We think our emotions are these evil, monstrous things. We don't like quote unquote negative emotions. We only want the positive, high valence emotions. But the reason that we get in so much trouble isn't because of the emotion. It's because, number 1, we don't understand where the emotion is coming from and what the function and the purpose of the emotions are. And number 2, we don't like how it feels. We have a low distress tolerance for negative, quote unquote, or lower valence emotions, which makes us react negatively to them. So it's not the emotion that's making us do what we're doing. It's the thoughts we're having about them and the way that we react to them. And this book dives into what the purpose and the function of your emotions are. Why do you feel anger? Why do you feel happy? Where does depression come from? Why do we feel anxious? And what do you do about it? So all 3 of these books go perfectly hand in hand. When you understand your emotions, and when you understand why you're thinking the way that you do, you can create a greater sense of meaning out of your life. And if you're doing really, really good therapy, that is actually exactly what a therapist is going to be able to guide you and navigate you through. But again, not a lot of people have access to care, or honestly, a lot of people are just terrified of getting started. There's so many people who desperately want and need therapy, but they are getting themselves so sucked in to guilt and fear and shame and all of these negative thoughts and beliefs about themselves that they're not actually taking the step to go get the help that you might need. So many people do this. These books, these first 3, are a really, really good step to help you understand what therapy might feel like and look like. What are the things that a really good therapist, whether it's IFS or CBT or DBT or emotion focused therapy, or some of these other really high quality evidence-based therapies, what that might look like for you. And later on, I'll do a video kind of breaking down the differences between those types of therapies. I actually just got that idea, so I'm going to make sure that I write that down after this video is done. But these first 3 books, Man's Search for Meaning, Feeling Good / Feeling Great, and Cognitive Therapy and the Emotional Disorders, are very highly focused on our mind, our thoughts, and our actions based on that. Book number 4 also goes hand in hand with these books. So all of these books, I handpicked them because they're all related, and it basically gives you a very holistic approach to your mental health, because your mental health impacts every single thing that you do, and every single thing that you do and experience impacts your mental health. So it's like an infinity symbol, right? It's just constantly going, and everything impacts everything. Book number 4, Anchored by Deb Dana. This book breaks down polyvagal theory, what it is, why you need to know it, and how to help yourself understand your body and the reactions of your body at a greater level. Polyvagal theory is basically how our nervous system acts and reacts based on the outside world and based on what's going on in here in our minds and throughout our body based on our emotions. So, Anchored basically gives you all of the tools and all of the skills to be able to regulate your nervous system and to help you to feel safe in the world and within your own body. Again, this is why we react negatively to emotions. This is why we react negatively to negative thoughts. We have these very intrusive automatic thoughts that just pop up, or we go into circumstances and experiences, we're having all of these thoughts, we're perceiving the world through these cognitive distortions or these negative lenses. We are having negative reactions to the world based on that, and our body takes a toll. The body does keep the score. Now, it's more so through your brain than your actual body, but the body and the brain go hand in hand together, and most of us have no control over our body. We have no control over our nervous system and how we engage in the world based on how we feel physically in here. So, for example, if I was in a very, very distressed state right now, if I was in a fight or flight state, so I was in either like dorsal collapse or sympathetic fight or flight, sympathetic activation, which she talks about in the book, I wouldn't be able to be here right now. I'm in a really, really good state right now. I am in ventral vagal, which is the top sympathetic nervous system state. Not sympathetic. It's the top nervous system state that you can be in, which basically means I'm calm, I'm grounded, I'm regulated, I am present in my body. I feel stable. I feel safe. I feel connection, and I feel as though I'm in a state where I can connect. How many of you actually feel like you can get yourself to that place on a daily basis? Very few people. Most of us are doom scrolling through social media all day, or watching TV and videos, or numbing out with substances, because the majority of us are in a shutdown state, or we're in the fight or flight state where we're super anxious and we don't know what to do and we don't know where to go and whatever. We're in a very, very activated state. So the more that you can learn how to regulate your nervous system, how to get yourself into a good ventral vagal state as often as possible, the more regulated your body's going to be, the more regulated your emotions will be, the more conscious your thoughts can be, and the more intentional, conscientious outputs you can put into the world. You live a better life the more conscious you're able to be, and these help you get there. Number 5, and I'm going to give a bonus one at the end because I just thought of another book that I should have added to this list. So I'm going to add a 6th bonus, but these are the 5 that I think you should start with. Number 5, Healing the Shame That Binds You by John Bradshaw. We all have shame. Whether you want to admit it or not, we all have it. And we are all negatively impacted by it. And for the grand majority of us, we grew up in cultures and in families that used shame to guide behavior. You're a bad boy. You're a bad girl. This religious practice teaches you that you're a terrible human being. This religious practice teaches you, this terrible thing and that terrible thing, whatever. It's all shame-based narratives. It's don't be bad. Here's what you need to do to be good. You can't live your life in shame. You can't live your life believing all the time that you're a terrible human being and that you don't deserve good things. Most of us are guided by shame. Shame about our bodies, shame of how we look, shame of how we feel when we're interacting with other people, shame about who we are at our essence. It is so unbelievably destructive. And what this book dives into and why you absolutely need to read it is it unpacks the difference between healthy shame and maladaptive, harmful shame, and how to heal that shame that gets so bound up in your entire essence that it guides everything about you and impacts you in the most negative, destructive ways. Like I said, all of these books go hand in hand because where does shame come from? Our experiences, our thoughts, and our emotions. What does that do? It impacts the body. How do we do that? We learn to regulate our nervous system. How do we do that? We understand our emotions. We understand what our thoughts, feelings, and behaviors are. And we understand and we learn how to create a more deep, empowered sense of meaning. All of these books, they teach you how to be human. They teach you why you do the things that you do. And they help you to be able to be the kind of person that you actually want to be. A safe, grounded, confident human. Someone who can control their own mind and their own thoughts and their own experiences, who actually has autonomy over their own life. Think of the person that you admire the most. I guarantee they are the most confident person that you probably know. And not fake, bolsterous confidence, but like a true inner confidence. Like, this person, they've got them. They are grounded. They are stable. They trust in their decisions and they can own their mistakes. They know when they're right and they know when they're wrong and they're not afraid to admit it. We love those people. I love those people. I'm trying to become that person. And that's what I do for my clients. I help them to become those people. So if that's something you're interested in, and if you want to deep dive into these books, reach out, send me a DM on Instagram. Let's work together. The therapy is more affordable than you think. And it's an investment that you make into you so that you can actually live the life that you want. The one that you idolize everybody else over and that you don't think is possible for you. These books will change your life if you actually study them, if you actually take the time to really read them and comprehend them. I said I would give a 6th one. The book is called No Bad Parts by Richard Schwartz. The book basically talks about the fact that our mind, we have multiple minds. We have multiple different parts of who we are. If you've ever had the thought, a part of me really wants to do this, but another part of me is like really wanting to do this. That book basically talks about why that happens. Why does it feel like we have multiple personalities? And no, this isn't dissociative identity disorder. That is actually the extreme of this. What happens when you have massive trauma and the extreme of that, and how it can make you form these distinct different identities and personalities. But in the adaptive healthy sense, this book dives into how these different parts of us come to be, and or these little personalities that we have within us, why they are the way that they are, how they form and shape our behavior, and how to understand ourselves and these parts at a deeper level. So, like, if you've ever seen a therapist doing inner child work, that's IFS. They might not be doing like IFS specifically, but IFS looks at, there's parts of you that have developed at different times of your life. Some of us have a really angry part that comes out when we're extremely triggered. Some of us have this really like loving, passionate, sensual part of us that only comes out during certain times. Some of us have these really creative parts of us. We all have these multiple different parts. But for so many of us, they're unconscious. And for many of us, these parts are incredibly stunted because of the negative experiences that we've gone through. And this book dives into what those parts are, how to identify them, how to navigate them, and how to help them heal so that you can get to the essence of who you really are. And so that these parts can help you to be the best version of yourself. And again, that ties in directly with all of this because all of our parts have different beliefs, different identities, different thoughts, feelings, experiences, different narratives of who they want to be, different meanings about the world. And so when you can go through these 5 books, you can get to this 6th one and understand how all of these different parts experience all of these in wildly different ways, and then how to make them more coherent. If you don't decide to invest in coaching or therapy in 2026, because when this comes out, it is a little bit over a week away from New Year's. If 2026 is not the year for you to invest in therapy or coaching, which honestly, I am a firm believer that everybody should do therapy. Even if you think nothing is wrong with you, there's always something to learn. There's always something to dive into. And if you're working with a good therapist, they'll be able to help you figure that out and set some goals for yourself. But if you're not there yet, or if you are there and you just want more resources, these 5 books, technically 7, but these books will give you a stepping stone. They will give you a foundation to understanding yourself and your mind at a much deeper level and to feel confident and capable enough to have your life in your own hands. It's something we all desperately want. It's something so few of us were ever taught growing up. And this video is your first step to achieving that. If you've read these books already, or if by the time you watch this, you've read one or a few of these books, drop a comment down below. Let me know what these books meant to you. What were some of the reflections and the realizations that you had as a byproduct of reading these books? And how did they impact you? I'm very excited to read the comments. If you end up DMing me, it's going to be me that responds to you. So I'm looking so much forward to hearing from you all. And I will see you next time.